The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Syntex Innovative Lubricants, Autosportinsurance.com, Spa05.com and Fitzner Performance Gearboxes. Hello and welcome to round 2 of the Supercar Challenge powered by Pirelli. We're at the Grand Prix circuit of the Nürburgring. This time, the tight chicane already in place for the legendary 24-hour race. In today's programme, we catch up with our GT divisions. So that's SuperGT, GT and GTB. 26 cars, including new entries from Belgium. We'll catch up with the highlights of the action on Saturday and Sunday and qualifying in SuperGT. The Volvo S60 V8 of Henry Zumbrink, the championship leader in SuperGT after round 1 in Zandvoort, already has pole for race 2 and looked to have race 1 pole in the bag as well. But Kelvin Snooks beat him by 0.03 of a second. The biggest surprise, however, came from the new SRT Viper GT3R of Roger Graals and Arjen van der Zwaan. They've improved their setup on this brand new car and they went 0.3 of a second quicker than Snooks to seize the pole for race 1.
Ja, absoluut. In de eerste race waren we laat.
Progress, says Arjen. In the previous race, we were dead last in the class. The team's been working really hard on the handling. It's all paid off. We got pole for the first race. You can't have a better start to the weekend than that. Kelvin Snooks also looking more cheerful after a poor Zandvoort in his Volvo S60 V8.
De auto voelt erg goed aan, een stuk beter.
The car's a lot more confidence-inspiring than Zandvoort, he said. It was brand new then, we had a lot to work to do on the setup and some other technical aspects of the car. Here at the Nürburgring though, everything seems to be perfect, so I've really got my confidence back. Things are looking good. With the Viper looking more competitive this weekend, it's a new challenge for the Volvo drivers. So does championship leader Henry Zumbrink spot any weaknesses?
Nou, ze hebben een hele hoge topsnelheid.
Well, the Viper's got higher top speed, he says. That makes it more difficult to pass on the straights, but I think we should be able to get by. It's great that they're competitive now, though. At Zandvoort, they were right at the back of Super GT. Now they're strong, so I'm looking forward to a great race. Once again, Race Art proves that the right setup is everything. Arjen van der Zwaan will start the first stint on Saturday's race. Let's take a quick look at the highlights to see what happened in Super GT. Well, 60 minutes around a dry, if chilly Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit should mean around 33 laps of this 4.6 kilometre circuit. Rolling start as ever, 26 cars in the GT field in the 3 classes, Super GT, GT and GTB. On board with Henry Zumbrink, starting third, the Viper in front on the right, to the left Kelvin Snooks and his Volvo S60 V8. Looks like Snooks has got a good run down the outside, and that'll be the grippy part of the track, and the track here turns slightly right then immediately left, so that works well for Snooks as he takes the lead. Arjen van der Zwaan in second in the Viper, drifts out a little wide. Zumbrink on our left as we ride with van der Zwaan. Now the Viper with big top end speed, and this Grand Prix circuit should really allow them to exploit that. But the Volvos have done what they wanted to do, get in front in the first couple of corners. Right behind is Bob Herber's Ferrari. He was briefly passed by the Vicora of Niels Bohaus at the start. Red Ferrari there in fourth, that's Herber. Then the green and yellow cars, both Vicoras. Niels Bohaus ahead of Barry Mason. Lap 5 and already Arjen van der Zwaan is all over the back of Henry Zumbrink. This the battle for second then. Out of the Dunlop curve, through the fast Schumacher S's. And Zumbrink's been on the radio to the team. Apparently the Volvo is starting to meander at the back. There's something wrong. He saw it twitch viciously over the curbs. Van der Zwaan is going to make a move here, isn't he? Up the inside into the left-hander, gets to the apex and to the exit curb, controls the corner, he's through. Race Art team with everything crossed, hoping for the lead. Before the race, the Volvo drivers said they feared the top speed potential of the Viper, and that's what's really swinging the balance here. They're not able to battle on the high speed parts of the circuit. Arjen van der Zwaan lines up Kelvin Snooks for the pass, exactly the same place as he got by Zumbrink, and takes the lead of the race. Incidentally, in the pit stop, Zumbrink's team would find loose rear suspension, which was fixed. He was then able to complete the race. Well, there's problems too for both Vicoras. The yellow car Barry Mason on its shakedown this weekend already out. This is Niels Bohaus, raced it first race weekend in Zandvoort as well, but watch the gear lever, separated from the linkage, so he has to bring the car into the pits and the team are forced to jury rig repairs. Well, they don't have any spare gear levers, so this is the answer. As Niels explains, it's a 22mm wrench fixed onto the stub of the gear lever. Hopefully we'll be able to finish. They've also worked to try and repair a small problem with the engine, so hopefully we'll get some points. And in fact they do, although they finish 8 laps down. Roger Grauls in the Viper after the pit stops, chased every inch of the way by Kelvin Snooks. Close but no cigar. The Viper takes its first win in Supercar Challenge and in Europe, just 0.7 of a second clear. The hard work really paid off, said Roger. The car was a joy, perfect to the final second. I'd just like to say thanks to the team for their amazing commitment to making it better. We tested here, made big progress, and we're ready for the rest of the season. So it's the SRT Viper's first win in Europe, courtesy of Arjen van der Swan and Roger Grauls. Kelvin Snooks narrow second, Bob Herber and Martin Lanting taking third place. And as Henry Zumbrink finishes in fifth, the Ferrari duo move to the top of the SuperGT point standings. New to the GT Championship is this brand new Lamborghini Gallardo GT3 FL2 run by NSC Motorsports and supported by Reiter Engineering. They claim pole for both races despite it being their first outing on Pirelli's control tyre for the series.
De mensen van Lamborghini hebben wel ervaring met de banden. Dus
the Lamborghini engineers have experience with the Pirelli, says Peter Dubois. So Reiter Engineering gave us a setup to get on with, and it turns out that it was perfect. So we're very happy with the handling of the car and with the speed. You're not going to hear any complaints from us this weekend. Well, true to their word, no complaints after race one. Peter Dubois has the first stint. He holds the lead up to the pit stops ahead of young Ferrari drivers Patrick van Glabeker and Frederik Jonckere. Co-driver Thierry Verstraete then races on to the checkered flag and the win.
Ja, dat is echt een mooie eerste overwinning.
It's great to win our first outing in the championship. We pushed very hard, thanks to the great teamwork. We've won the first race, says Thierry. In the black suit, Craig Wilkins not looking very happy on the podium. He spun his Viper on the first lap, losing second place to the Ferrari duo. And Van Glabeker and Jonckere keep their lead in the GT division with second spot. In the GTB class, pole position for both races went to the same car, the Gulf Chevrolet Corvette C6 of pro driver Ferdinand Kool and his 16-year-old rookie teammate Max Cobalt. Despite their speed in qualifying, they know the competition will be tough.
Daan gaat met de Martini Porsche wel heel hard rijden.
Dan Meyer is very quick in the Martini Porsche, says Ferdinand. Their straight line speed is huge. That's going to be ideal here. I hope I'm going to get a lead and over the others as well over the first few laps. We finished 6th in the last race at Zandvoort, so we've got no result seconds. Dan Meyer's got 20, so we can take it easy after the stops. As much as you can take it easy in a race, of course. As long as the car stays in one piece, though, we should be able to win this one. The Corvette stays out of trouble at the start and takes a lead that'll hold for most of the race. Dan Meyer, second in the GTB class, has this lurid moment. A 250km/h spin into corner one, left on oil by the blown Porsche engine of Dirk Schultz. Amazingly, despite the speed of the incident, the only damage is to the splitter and to the engine, which refuses to fire again for a couple of minutes. He dropped back to 6th in class. Championship leaders James and Tom Webb, sidelined with a broken engine, lose their points lead to race winners Ferdinand Kool and Max Cobalt. Steve van Bellingen and Vard Slijs finished second in their BMW. Everything superb, says Max. We're the fastest in free practice, qualifying and in the race. Ferdinand drove an excellent first stint and all I had to do was finish. Final preparations for race 2 at the Nürburgring. Pole position not with the race 1 winners Arjen van der Swan and Roger Grauls' Viper, but with Henry Zumbrink's Volvo, and Zumbrink eager to retake his points lead. Ready for the rolling start then. On board with Bob Herber, he'll hand over to Martin Lanting in the second part of the race. And looking back from our poleman Henry Zumbrink, on the left of your picture Kelvin Snooks, on the right the red Ferrari 458 GT2 of Bob Herber and Martin Lanting. So ready for the start, the Roger Grauls driven Viper right in front, and as we get the lights to change, Ferrari making a very quick start. Not so good for Zumbrink, and look on the left hand side of your picture, the yellow Vicora Barry Mason, but also the white nose of Kelvin Snooks. His Volvo is going to take the lead. Roger Grauls in second in the Viper. And 3 wide behind, Bob Herber's on the outside, the tyre wall is right in front, he has to back out, and Barry Mason's yellow Vicora V8 has gone through, but look at the speed of which the Volvo accelerates. Henry Zumbrink back up to third from the middle of the road. So the guys on the outside of that 3 wide both lost out there. Bob Herber in 5th position, down to the Dunlop curve. So that Vicora, first race for the car this weekend, retired in race 1. It's half Viper, it's old-shaped Viper with an Aston Martin front. There's your race leader, Kelvin Snooks. The new SRT Viper of Roger Graal's in 2nd, under pressure from Henry Zumbrink. Zumbrink looking to try and make his way through. Now the Ferrari should be one of the fastest cars here. Top speed is over 290 kilometers an hour, but everybody else has backed off their rear wing for maximum speed, so they'll be squirming in the corners. Nevertheless, Bob Herber's got to use the speed and the slipstream on this yellow Vicora of Barry Mason to try and make a pass through the Kumo curve and the bit curve, and this sets up the long climb up towards the final chicane, and this is absolutely flat out in almost anything, and Herber's got his foot to the boards and lunges up the inside. Great move under braking, up to 4th place, and that's what he'll need to do, leapfrog his way up the queue of cars in front. On the pit straight, in the slipstream of Henry Zumbrink. Now, can he make a pass to the inside? Herber's looking for 3rd. Down the inside, puts his car on the apex, but Zumbrink's just got wriggle room, and then it turns sharp left, and Herber backs off there to avoid an incident. And that's going to cost him a car length or 2. And listen to that, the totally different sound of the V8 in the Volvo compared to the V8 in the Ferrari. It's one of the glories of sports car racing, the different sights and sounds. We're still struggling with the rear end of this Volvo Zumbrink, and that makes him easy meat under braking. Bob Herber goes through the Ferrari up to 3rd place now, and Zumbrink in trouble. And there is no option but to bring the car into the pits. The sort of speeds they're doing here at the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit, you can't fight a wayward rear end. It's going to be a tough character building weekend for Henry and for the Davy Tech team as they work on what seems to be a repeat of their race 1 problem. Eventually they'll get him back out, but he will be stone last in Super GT. Well, there wasn't much to be done but just get his head down and grind it out. Henry Zumbrink was philosophical afterwards. He said the pace was great, we were very competitive, just a couple of issues put us out of the running. Same bolt came off in the suspension both times, and it shouldn't happen at this sort of level, but it is a technical sport, motor racing, and occasionally things go wrong. Well, Henry's teammate Kelvin Snooks had 2 crashes at Zandvoort, but the Davy Tech Engineering Volvo is the one that seems to have packed its lucky underpants for Germany, leading the race, building a big gap over Roger Graal's in the Viper. Mid-race, Hans Verhelst crashes his Porsche at the Kumo corner. Little dazed, he remains in the car just a little too long for comfort. The safety car is scrambled so the medical crew can take him to the medical centre. He's okay, but Kelvin Snooks' lead evaporated after the pit stops. Nevertheless, at the restart, he keeps up a good pace to win it, 3.8 seconds ahead of Arjen van der Zwaan in the Viper. And team colleague Henry Zumbrink again ends up in 5th place. Kelvin Snooks slowly gaining on him in the championship.
Ja, super.
Had a great start, managed to open up a gap, says Kelvin. In the safety car, I wasn't sure what was going on behind, but the gap was big enough to keep the lead after the pit stops and to win it. It was pretty close. Near the end, I had a strange noise, maybe a wheel bearing or something, so I slowed down, but still had enough to win. Kelvin's first points of the season put him 5th in the championship as Henry Zumbrink drops to 3rd, but look at the top, 1 point separate the Ferrari and the Viper drivers. Stay with us. After the break, we'll catch up with the second race for the GT and GTB classes. And will new GTB championship leaders Kuhl and Kubot keep their points lead in the Corvette? Well, there's only one way to find out. Join us after this. The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Syntex Innovative Lubricants, Autosportinsurance.com, Spa05.com and Fitzner Performance Gearboxes. Welcome back to round 2 of the Supercar Challenge powered by Pirelli. We're at Germany's Nürburgring looking at the action in the GT classes. Before the break, we saw Kelvin Snooks winning Super GT in his Volvo. Now let's take a look at the GT division. We're 3rd in class with Pierre-Etienne Bourdais returning to the series, this time in a Porsche. Blue car in front, that's Thierry Verstraete. That's the pole-sitting Lamborghini. And just getting out of shot on the left, that's the Viper. And that's being started by Craig Wilkins. The two Vicorious, the yellow and green cars in front in the Super GT class. There goes the Viper there, Wilkins. Poor start by the Lamborghini. The Viper, red, white and black, right in the middle of the track there, down the white line. That is your GT class leader. And up the inside, Pierre-Etienne Bourdais just keeps his nose out of trouble. Second, right behind the Viper. So a very cautious start by the Lamborghini duo. Race 1 winners dropping behind at the start. Battle for second place as Pierre-Etienne Bourdais comes under pressure from Henk Thijs in the little black Radical. Now the car retired in race 1 when its brakes locked on right down here at the Dunlop hairpin. But as you see, no dramas this time. Dives down the inside of the Porsche, lighter, nimbler on the brakes, and through he goes into second place, already setting off after the Viper that leads the race. Well, this looks like a bit of a David versus Goliath contest, doesn't it? The little Radical 2.7 V8 doesn't have the top speed, doesn't have the power of the Viper, but it's lighter, more nimble, so what it loses on the straights, it gains under braking and in the corners. The battle for third place, Pierre-Etienne Bourdais in the Porsche, the red Ferrari, of course, right behind. That's Patrick van Glabeke, and he is all over Bourdais at the moment. Well, this Delahaye Racing Porsche, new to the series. Pierre-Etienne Bourdais, of course, knows some of his rivals from racing them before, but in different machinery. And Van Glabeke is all over the back of him, up to the Vidal chicane. Got to get your braking right here, but Bourdais in the middle of the road, compromising his line. He's going to run out of room on the exit. He can't get the power down, and through goes the Ferrari. He used his track position to good effect, pressured the mistake from the Porsche, and Pierre-Etienne Bourdais loses third. It's great to have him back in the championship. Well, after the pit stops, even fourth place for Pierre-Etienne comes under threat, this time from the pole-sitting blue Lamborghini. Peter Dubois taking over during the stops. He's all over the back of the Porsche again, applying the pressure, and the Lamborghini comes on song fast. Through he goes to grab fourth position. And in the closing stages, it's Pim van Riet who takes the lead away from Aaron Scott in the Radical, heading on to the checkered flag to win race 2 here in Germany. And after third on Saturday, second on Sundays, a good weekend for the Viper duo. We've definitely shown today that car's got the potential to win races, says Pim van Riet. The handling is amazing and the Nürburgring really suits this car as well. On Saturday we had tough luck, the brakes overheated, but we fitted better brake pads for this race and it worked out fine. And right from the start we were battling for the lead and took it at the end. The win moves Van Riet and Thijs up to third in the championship. Craig Wilkins, second place, behind leaders Van Glabeke and Jonkeren. Start of the race in GTB, on board with Dan Meyer, third on the grid. Great start in front of us, the pale blue and orange Corvette. That's the pole-sitting car, Ferdinand Kool. Look at it at the top of the screen. And watch as they come down into the braking area. Porsche going around the outside. GT Lamborghini on the left. Henk Thijs wobbles and moves out wide. We follow through, but that's pushed the Corvette right out wide, so Dan Meyer moves through into the lead of the GTB class. And look for the Gulf colours, top of your picture. The Corvette now shuffled down to fifth place behind Vaardsluis Steve van Bellingen's BMW, and the Porsche right in front of that pale blue car, and that is Marcel van Berlo. So looking back from Van Berlo, there is Ferdinand Kool in the Corvette that started on pole. Somebody else's error has dropped him right down the order. He's looking around, but can't squeeze through. Well, the Corvette driver is the 2012 Dutch GT champion. He also raced German F3, so he knows the Nürburgring well. He's going to be a tough man to keep behind. After Steve van Bellingen spun the BMW Silhouette on lap 1, this is now the battle for third in GTB. Marcel van Berlo in the Porsche ahead of Ferdinand Kool. And despite the thumping torque of the Corvette, he still can't get enough traction off the corner to out-drag the Porsche, which again with its rear-engined format has got great drive off that slow hairpin. It's a Porsche 1, 2, 3 now. Corvette in fourth position. Dan Meyer leading the class, and from ninth on the grid in class, Martin Irons up into second place. There's the Martini car, and that is Dan Meyer. Martin Irons with the black splitter on the front of his Porsche in second place, and then the battle for third. Marcel van Berlo ahead of Ferdinand Kool. Well, like Fiona James in her Lamborghini, Ferdinand Kool having to bring the Corvette into the pits. The Davy Tech team examine a problem with the car at the rear end, and they soon find that one of the wheel nuts has come loose. Well, the last thing you want on a high-speed circuit like the Nürburgring is a wobbly rear end. No wonder he wanted to come in and get it sorted out. As the Corvette drops down the order, the battle for the lead is raging on. Dan Meyer in the Martini striped car, stuck up behind a GT class Ferrari. That's Paul Stoffel, and he's refusing to let the ostensibly quicker Porsche get by. So Dan Meyer blocked behind him, and slipstreaming up and inside comes Mark Nyens. He shares his Porsche, of course, with Patrick Lamster, and they take the lead of the class and look right behind. That's Marcel van Berlo. So Porsche 1, 2, 3 in GTB. The question now is, can Mark Nyens, with the black bottom half on his 301 Porsche, get by the Ferrari? No, the Ferrari's slow through the corner, but Nyens has got the drive on him, gets alongside, but he gets the chop as well. And that's going to leave him slow off the final corner. So here's a chance for Dan Meyer to redress the balance. Paul Stoffel not putting himself on the top of anybody's Christmas card list. Meyer down the inside. Now he's taken the lead in the class. Can he get by the Ferrari? The Ferrari squeezes him to the grass, but I think he's gone through. Yes, he has, but he's outbraked himself trying to do so, and he loses the lead once more. And through has gone Marcel van Berlo, so he's gone from first to third, and that Ferrari not helping. After the pit stops, we're in the battle with Dan Meyer and Marcel van Berlo. Patrick Lamster in Mark Nyens' car has dropped back, so this is for the lead. And Dan Meyer and Marcel van Berlo driving the race solo. So they're fully up to speed with the car, with the handling, the brakes, the tyres, the wear and everything else. This is just a straight fight for victory in the GTB class. Their battle takes a decisive turn in the final stage of the race. Leader Arjen van der Zwaan in the Viper goes by both cars, but Marcel van Berlo has to leave the door wide open. Through goes Dan Meyer to take the lead. In the end, it was rather a moot point. Van Berlo was handed a 10-second penalty for crossing the white line at the pit exit, but he still ended up in second place in front of Steve van Bellingen, Vard Slice, recovering from that first lap spin in the BMW. Fourth place for Ferdinand Kuhl and Max Cobalt. Not a bad result given their problems. However, it does mean that the championship lead has changed. Victory for Dan Meyer puts him on top of the points, and the Webbs, they'll be back in Spa with a new engine in their BMW to continue the battle. Well, that's it for the GT classes, but we'll be back next time with the sports and lights divisions from the Nürburgring. The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Syntex Innovative Lubricants, Autosportinsurance.com, Spa05.com and Fitzner Performance Gearboxes.